The October air was crisp as I stepped out of my 12-year-old Toyota Camry at Rosewood Manor, the most exclusive wedding venue in the state. Through the ornate gates, I could see the flurry of activity. Florists arranging centerpieces, staff setting up chairs on the manicured lawn, the string quartet warming up near the gazebo where my daughter would soon say, "I do." My daughter, Emma, 26 years old, brilliant, beautiful, and getting married in 3 hours to a wonderful young man named David, who treated her like she hung the moon. I'd been looking forward to this day since she was little, when she'd stomp around the house in her mother's heels declaring she'd marry a prince. I straightened my tie, not designer, but clean and pressed, and walked toward the entrance. That's when I saw him. Richard Pemberton Aita, my ex-wife's husband of 8 years, standing at the gate like a bouncer at an exclusive club. "Turn around, Michael," he said, not even pretending to be civil. His Yale class ring caught the afternoon sun as he held up a manicured hand. "You're not welcome here." I stopped, genuinely confused. "I'm sorry." "You heard me." He stepped forward, blocking the entrance completely. At 6'3" and built like the ex-lacrosse player he was, Richard clearly thought he was intimidating. "This is a classy event. We have important guests, judges, senators, members of my country club. We don't need you here bringing down the tone." "Bringing down the?" I almost laughed. "Richard, I'm Emma's father." "Biological father," he corrected, as if that distinction mattered. "I've been her real father for the past 8 years. I'm the one who moved her into the right social circles. I'm the one whose connections got her into Columbia law. I'm the one paying for this wedding." That last part was particularly amusing, but I kept my expression neutral. "Does Emma know you're doing this?" I asked. "Emma agrees with me," he lied smoothly. "She's just too polite to tell you herself. She doesn't want her special day ruined by you. Look at yourself, Michael. Driving that ancient car, wearing a suit from Men's Warehouse. Do you really think you fit in with the Pemberton crowd?" Behind him, I could see my ex-wife, Patricia, in a stunning mother-of-the-bride dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly mortgage. She was directing the photographer, pretending not to notice her husband bearing me from our daughter's wedding. "I'd like to hear that from Emma herself," I said calmly. Richard's smile was all teeth, no warmth. "She's busy getting ready. Having her hair and makeup done by the team from that salon on Madison Avenue. The one you could never afford to take her to. Just like you could never afford the equestrian lessons, or the European vacations, or the debut at the Pemberton Annual Gala." Each word was carefully chosen to cut, to remind me of all the things I couldn't give Emma after the divorce. What Richard didn't understand was that Emma and I had laughed about those same things over burgers at her favorite hole-in-the-wall diner, where she'd tell me about surviving Richard's society torture sessions. "I'm not leaving," I said simply. "I'm walking my daughter down the aisle." Richard laughed, actually laughed. "No, you're not. I'm walking her down the aisle. We discussed this months ago. It's already in the program. The bride will be escorted by her father, Richard Pemberton II. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?" I felt my phone buzz in my pocket but ignored it. "Richard, I don't want to make a scene." "Then don't. Just leave. Quietly. Like you should have done years ago instead of clinging to this fantasy that you still matter in Emma's life. She's a Pemberton now. She's part of our world, not yours." "Our world?" I repeated. "Yes, our world. The world of success, of refinement, of knowing which fork to use and which wine to order. The world where people summer in the Hamptons, not in their backyards with a kiddie pool from Walmart." That kiddie pool reference stung. It was from the last summer Emma had spent with me before Patricia married Richard and moved them into his mansion. Emma and I had spent a whole day setting up that silly pool, having water fights, making memories. She still had photos from that day on her phone. "Tell you what," Richard continued, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I'll write you a check right now, $20,000. Call it a gift. You can take a nice vacation, maybe finally replace that embarrassment you call a car. All you have to do is leave. Now, don't come back. Let Emma have the father she deserves for her wedding." I studied him for a long moment. Richard Pemberton II, heir to a department store fortune, who'd never worked a day in his life, who thought money could buy him the title of father, who genuinely believed his checkbook made him superior. "No," I said. His face reddened. 50,000. "No, you're being ridiculous. Do you know how many people are here? Do you know who they are? The governor's wife is here, the mayor, 3 federal judges, and you want to walk in there looking like. He gestured at me that. I pulled out my phone. You're right, Richard. I should make some calls. He smirked, finally seeing sense. Yes, call yourself an Uber. Save us both the embarrassment. But I wasn't calling Uber. I scrolled to a contact labeled simply Marcus and hit dial. Mr. Chen. Marcus answered on the first ring. Is everything in place? Small change of plans, I said, watching Richard's smug expression. We're going to need to accelerate the timeline. How quickly can you execute? The venue contract is already in my hand, sir. The catering team is on standby. The band, the flowers, the photographer. Everyone's ready for your word. Give me 5 minutes, I said and hung up. Richard was watching me with amused condescension. Calling for a ride? Good man. Emma will thank you for this, even if she doesn't know it. I made another call. This one to Emma. She answered breathlessly, probably in the middle of hair and makeup. Dad, where are you? You were supposed to be here an hour ago for photos. I'm at the gate, sweetheart. Richard says I'm not welcome. What? I heard a crash, probably her jumping up and knocking something over. He said, OWHAT, I'm coming down there right now. No. Stay there. Finish getting ready. I'll handle this. Dad, I swear I didn't know. I specifically told him. I know you did, baby. Don't worry. Your wedding is going to be perfect. I promise. But Dad, trust me. Have I ever let you down? She paused, then said softly, Never. Not once. Then trust me now. I'll see you soon. I hung up and looked back at Richard, who was checking his Rolex impatiently. So, he demanded, are you leaving, or do I need to call security? Oh, you have security, I asked innocently. That's good. They can help everyone leave in an orderly fashion. Leave, he frowned. What are you talking about? I made one more call, this time putting it on speaker. Marcus, execute. Yes, sir. Initiating now. Within seconds, Richard's phone started ringing. Then I heard shouting from inside the venue. The catering manager emerged, looking frantic, followed by several staff members. Mr. Pemberton, the venue manager, a distinguished woman named Helen, came running out. We have a problem. A big problem. What kind of problem? Richard demanded. The contracts. They've all been canceled. The venue, the catering, the bar service, the flowers, the band, everything. As of 5 minutes ago, we've been ordered to cease all services and vacate the premises. Richard's face went from red to purple. That's impossible. I paid for all of this. Cash deposits, signed contracts. Helen looked deeply uncomfortable. Actually, Mr. Pemberton, you didn't. All the contracts are in the name of Chen Holdings LLC, and Mr. Chen just canceled everything. Chen Holdings? Richard sputtered. Who the hell is Chen? I raised my hand slightly. Michael Chen. That would be me. The silence that followed was beautiful. Richard's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Behind him, Patricia had come running out, her designer dress swishing. What's happening? She demanded. Why are the caterers packing up? Ask your husband, I suggested. He just told me I wasn't welcome at my daughter's wedding. Patricia's face went white. Richard, you didn't. He's bluffing, Richard insisted. This is some kind of stunt. He can't afford any of this. Helen cleared her throat. Mr. Chen has been our client for 3 years. He's hosted several major corporate events here. The wedding today, every single vendor, every single service, was contracted through his company. The total cost was, she glanced at her tablet, $347,000. All prepaid. 300 and Patricia swayed slightly. $347,000, I confirmed. But who's counting? The important thing is that Richard doesn't think I'm classy enough to attend. So if I can't attend, neither can my money. By now, the exodus had begun in earnest. The string quartet was packing up their instruments. Florists were carefully removing centerpieces. The catering trucks were being loaded. Guests who'd started arriving early were milling about in confusion. You can't do this, Richard shouted. The wedding is in 2 hours. Actually, I can, I said calmly. Every contract has a clause allowing the paying party to cancel for any reason with no liability. Airtight. Ironclad. I should know, I wrote them. But I gave Emma a credit card for wedding expenses, Patricia said weakly. Yes, she used it to buy her dress. Everything else she asked me to handle. Said she wanted to use Dad's vendor connections to get better prices. I smiled. She's always been smart with money. Wonder where she got that from. That's when Emma appeared, running in her wedding dress, her hair half done, tears streaming down her face. Dad, what's happening? Everyone's leaving. She started to run to me, but Richard grabbed her arm. Emma, your father is ruining your wedding out of spite. She jerked away from him. Don't touch me. Dad, what's going on? Richard decided I wasn't welcome at your wedding. I explained. Said I wasn't classy enough. That I'd embarrass you in front of the Pemberton crowd. Emma's face transformed from confusion to fury. He was gay. I was protecting you, Richard insisted. You don't need him here. I'm your father now. Emma laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You're not my father. You're the man my mother married. My father is the one who taught me to ride a bike, who stayed up all night with me when I had nightmares, who worked 3 jobs to pay for my dance lessons, who never missed a single recital, even when it meant driving 4 hours after a 12-hour shift. Emma, be reasonable. Patricia interjected. Richard was just trying to what? Emma snapped. To erase my father. To pretend he doesn't exist. Did you know about this, Mom? Patricia's silence was answer enough. Emma turned back to me. Dad, please, don't cancel everything. This isn't about them. David's family is here. Our friends. Please. I walked over and took her hands. Sweetheart, do you really think I'd ruin your wedding? Everything's moving to Plan B. Plan B. I smiled. The Riverside Pavilion, you know, where you actually wanted to get married before Richard insisted on Rosewood Manor. Her eyes widened, but they were booked. They had a last-minute cancellation. Lucky, right? All the vendors are already en route. Same flowers, same food, same everything. Just a different location. One where every guest is actually welcome. You planned this? She threw her arms around me, not caring about her hair or makeup. You knew this might happen. I've known Richard for 8 years, I said, hugging her back. I always have contingency plans. This is kidnapping, Richard shouted. Or fraud. Or something. I'll sue. For what? I asked. For moving my daughter's wedding that I'm paying for to a venue where I'm actually allowed to attend. Good luck with that. David, my soon-to-be son-in-law, appeared with his groomsmen. Mr. Chin, is everything okay? Just a venue change, I told him. Hope you don't mind. He grinned. Are you kidding? Emma's been talking about the Riverside Pavilion forever. This is perfect. The next hour was controlled chaos. Guests were redirected. The wedding party was shuttled to the new venue. Everything that had taken months to plan was seamlessly relocated in record time. Richard and Patricia stood frozen at the gates of Rosewood Manor, watching their perfect society wedding disappear piece by piece. You'll regret this, Richard finally said. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. They already know, I said. I'm the kind of man who keeps his promises to his daughter. The kind who doesn't need to buy love with country club memberships and fancy cars. The kind who shows up every time, no matter what. As I turned to leave, Patricia called out, Michael, wait. I paused but didn't turn around. The equestrian lessons, she said quietly. The European vacations. The Columbia connections. Did you? The riding instructor is an old client. The European vacation was me flying Emma to visit my brother in London. He works at the embassy. And Columbia, she got in on her 179 LSAT score and stellar GPA. Though I did write her a recommendation letter. Does that count as a connection? I could hear Patricia crying, but I didn't look back. I had a wedding to get to. The Riverside Pavilion was spectacular. Overlooking the water, surrounded by trees in full autumn colors, it was the fairy tale setting Emma had originally dreamed of. As guests arrived, I heard more than one comment about how much better this venue was, how much more Emma it felt. I found Emma in the bridal suite, surrounded by her bridesmaids, all of them laughing and crying at the same time. Dad, she said, fresh tears starting. Thank you. For everything. Not just today, but everything. Always, baby girl. Always. Richard and Mom. They'll come if they want to. The invitation stands. This is your day, not mine. She nodded, then smiled mischievously. So, Chen Holdings LC. Since when are you a corporate mogul? I laughed. Since about 10 years ago. Turns out all those side consulting gigs added up. I'm not Pemberton rich, but I do okay. Okay, Dad, you just dropped $250,000 on my wedding. Worth every penny to see you happy. Besides, what else was I going to spend it on? A fancier car. We both looked out the window at my 12-year-old Camry in the parking lot and burst out laughing. Never change, Dad, she said. Promise me you'll never change. I promise. The ceremony was perfect. Patricia showed up halfway through, alone, slipping quietly into a back row. Richard was nowhere to be seen. When it came time for the father-daughter dance, Emma had chosen Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder, the song I used to sing to her when she was little. As we danced, she whispered, "Did you really write all those vendor contracts yourself?" Every single one. With that exact cancellation clause. You knew this would happen. I hoped it wouldn't, but I've learned to be prepared. Your mother married him for security, for status. I couldn't compete with that. But I could make sure that when it really mattered, money wouldn't be the thing that kept me from being there for you. You've always been there for me. And I always will be. Later during the reception, I found Patricia sitting alone at a table, nursing a glass of wine. He left me, she said without preamble. Richard, he said if I stayed for the wedding, we were done. 8 years of marriage, and he gave me an ultimatum over this. I sat down beside her. I'm sorry. She laughed bitterly. No, you're not. You're right, I'm not. But I am sorry you're hurting. I chose money over you, she said quietly. I chose status and security and look where it got me. Married to a man who tried to erase my daughter's father because he didn't like his car. You chose what you thought was best at the time. Did I, or did I choose what was easiest? She looked at me. You've done well for yourself. Chen Holdings. I started consulting after the divorce. Needed the extra income for Emma's expenses. One client became 2, became 10. Eventually, I incorporated. It's nothing compared to Pemberton money. But it's honest money, she finished. Earned, not inherited. That's worth more. We sat in comfortable silence, watching Emma and David dance with their friends. She's happy, Patricia said. Yes, she is. Thanks to you, you saved her wedding. I just moved it. Same wedding, better venue. Patricia smiled sadly. You know what I mean. You could have really ruined it. Cancelled everything out of spite. Made Richard and me look like fools in front of everyone. That would have hurt Emma. Nothing is worth that. You're a good man, Michael Chen. I'm sorry I forgot that. I stood up. Take care, Patricia. As I walked away, she called out, Michael? That kiddie pool summer, it was the happiest I ever saw her. Happier than any country club pool ever made her. I smiled and kept walking. The rest of the reception was a blur of joy. Speeches were made, tears were shed, and promises for the future were exchanged. Marcus, my assistant and the orchestrator of the great venue switch, found me during a quiet moment. The final tally, Mr. Chen, he said, handing me a tablet. The Rosewood cancellation, the Riverside booking, all the vendor relocations, the transportation coordination, total cost including the original wedding, $426,000. Worth it, I said without hesitation. Richard Pemberton is telling anyone who'll listen that you're a fraud and a manipulator. Let him. The people who matter know the truth. Speaking of which, Marcus smiled, Judge Patterson wants to discuss potentially hiring your firm for his daughter's wedding next spring. Says anyone who can pull off what you did today is someone he wants planning his events. I laughed. Tell him I'll think about it, but first, I want to enjoy the rest of my daughter's wedding. As the evening wound down, Emma found me on the pavilion's deck looking out over the water. Hiding from the party, she asked, joining me. Just taking a moment. You should be with your guests. They can wait. I wanted to talk to my dad. She leaned against my shoulder. Thank you, not just for saving the wedding, but for showing me something important. What's that? That love isn't about what you can buy someone. It's about showing up, being there, fighting for them when they need it. She paused. Richard never understood that. He thought his money made him my father. But you can't buy that title. You earn it. One bedtime story, one school play, one midnight ice cream run at a time. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. She kissed my cheek. I love you, Dad. Love you too, baby girl. As she went back to the party, I thought about the day's events. Richard was probably at his country club right now, drowning his wounded pride in expensive scotch, telling anyone who'd listen about how he'd been wronged. Patricia would go back to the mansion, maybe start divorce proceedings, maybe try to salvage things. Either way, that wasn't my concern anymore. What mattered was that my daughter had gotten the wedding she deserved, surrounded by people who genuinely loved her, not those who were there to network or be seen. Sometimes the best gift a father can give his daughter isn't walking her down the aisle in a cathedral or paying for a society wedding. Sometimes it's showing her that real love doesn't come with conditions or price tags. It just shows up, no matter what, even if it means moving heaven and earth, or at least a wedding venue, to be there. As I headed back to the party, I passed my trusty old Camry in the parking lot. Maybe it was time for an upgrade. Or maybe not. After all, it had gotten me here. To this moment, to this joy. And that made it priceless. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing with texts and emails. The local society blogger had somehow gotten the whole story and ran with the headline, "Father of the bride moves mountains and venues for daughter's dream wedding." But the message that mattered most was from Emma, sent from the airport as she and David left for their honeymoon. "Dad, you've always been my hero. Yesterday you showed the world why. Love you to the moon and back." I smiled, set the phone aside, and went to make coffee. Chen Holdings had 3 events to plan this week, and none of them were as important as yesterday. But I give them the same attention, the same care, because that's what you do. You show up. You do the work. You keep your promises, even if someone tries to stop you at the gate, especially then.